This is a Galactic Network podcast.
The Podcast of Terror is a great podcast. It's covering movies that are not for children, and thus this podcast is not for children. The hosts are two adults who will use bad words from time to time. They'll also spoil movies if that's not your thing. So if you don't like spoilers and you don't want to hear some dirty language or some dirty references to dirty parts of your body, then please, please, please wash your body parts better and do not listen to this show. If you can handle it, and I hope you can because there's a great podcast coming up, then please proceed with Podcast of Terror.
Burn and fire, burn the fire. Burn and fire, burn the fire.
I don't even know what time it is in Switzerland.
I don't know what time it is there either, but we didn't necessarily. This is like outside of our regular time. It's been outside of our regular days now since we've been doing them on Mondays. Oh, there he is.
Holy shit. We were just speak of the devil. What time, Pete? What time is it there? I could totally look it up, but I
Won't.
No, well, I know. I don't think there's just one time in that entire country. 9:34 p.m. Oh, okay. So I feel better now. At least it's not like 4 a.m. Sexy. Okay. Prefer the term light bringer. Oh boy. Fun. Before I guess I announced the new thing that we talked about, I would like to point out that this movie was absolutely fucking insane. I was very bored, and then all of a sudden, just shit hit the fan.
So, yeah, we'll get into the movie for people who weren't here last week. I don't blame you. Last week was kind of like a ruptured spleen of a film review, but I wanted to choose something that sounded at least more interesting, more original in some ways, and we went with a movie called Kill List, which neither of us had really heard of, knew anything about. And so when we get into it, at least we'll have something to say about it, which is not how we felt about The Curse of La Llorona.
Yeah, well, what was it? Llorona.
The Curse of Yo-Yo Ma.
Yeah, the Curse of Yo-Yo Ma.
And I have to make a correction again, and I'm going to do this probably once a week for the foreseeable. So I was not too long ago on an episode of Movie Go Round. I should have written notes on my hand, which is what used to be Geek Cinema Society, but now it's Movie Go Round. And I tried to correct myself the last time, and Nicole listened to the show and informed me that I completely screwed it up again. Movie Ragon. So what I've asked for, and what I'd like to get in the practice of doing again, is having ads for other shows, friends' podcasts, because we know so many people who do podcasts, and I love a lot of podcasts by our friends, and would like to have an advertisement from them. And I know that we talked about doing that back in the day, and we did it a little bit for a short while, and then they all kind of dried up, but then so did we. But if you don't hear an ad this time, and you won't because I haven't gotten it back from Brett or anything yet, Movie Go Round. It's a great show. It's three fantastic people, and occasionally some asshole like me who can't get the name right.
Yeah.
Movie Go Round.
That's funny. I forgot / didn't realize they changed the name because I went off the grid for a couple months.
No, it's fine, but you should check out Movie Go Round.
I will check out Movie Go Round.
And as Speed is pointing out, it's sort of payback for the fact that when I was on the show, they did have me watch Sucker Punch. So
interesting.
You get what you get, people. But Matt, you have something to announce.
I do. So since last week, I did not fuck around. Cast and Furious, I think is the name that we decided on, is going to be a real thing. Matt Vincent, who's been on the show a couple times, owner of Hey Pancreds, all around sex machine.
You might still be in the middle of one of Matt's episodes if you.
Yeah, right, right. Depending on how quickly you listen to it. But Matt is actually super, super, super excited about it. So him and I are going to be taking on. We're going to start with all. 9 won't be out yet. 8 Fast and the Furious movies, and then depending on how quickly we do that, we may go see Hobbs and Shaw. But the plan is to make it like a companion. So we'll watch the movies while we record, and
which I think it's fun. Aaron's asked me a couple of times, like, you guys should watch the movies when you do this. I'm like, I don't know if it would necessarily keep us on task.
No, we did that once. We did Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Matt for Halloween one year, and we watched it while we did it, and it's fun. I think it's more enjoyable if the person listening is also watching it at the same time. So I think you may lose something if that's not happening. But
yeah, it's not quite a sync points that the we studios do, but it is just it kind of at least keeps you in the moment of, oh yeah, and then this thing happens. It helps if you've seen the movie beforehand and then are watching it as a reference point while you're doing the show, I think. But then that also means a minimum of an hour and a half to 2 hours for a show.
Yeah.
Which with Matt Vincent is a short fucking show.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm like, I think a lot of these movies are about 2 hours, which, assuming we start right away and then don't continue to talk after the movie, we'll see how it pans out.
No, I don't want to put you out of your comfort zone. You could always edit afterwards.
I could. Yeah, I mean, I totally could. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I guess it would all depend on the quality of the content before and after.
Yeah, and honestly, again, Matt and you, to me, my opinion, you're both so entertaining to fucking listen to that.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to Matt's show, and he interviews very interesting people, not about stuff that I would normally be interested in.
Right.
But I still find the conversations very enlightening and enjoyable.
Beat says editing is for suckers, which I agree.
Yeah.
So,
but Beat says that knowing that he's been my sucker.
Exactly.
Plenty of time.
Hey, Beat, do you want to edit Cast and Furious, bud? I don't think he has enough time. But yeah, the plan is we're going to probably do it similar to this. But if Matt and I are in the same area, the hope is to do them in person.
I think that it would be fun to see that dynamic.
Yeah, given how much he travels, it's bound to happen eventually. I know he gets to Chicago quite a bit, and that's not that far, but he's relocating to St. Louis, which is not that much further. It's only like a 7-hour drive from here. So we'll see what happens. I hope it takes off.
And if anybody's curious, Matt apologized to me up front at the beginning before the show started, saying, hey, I know this was your idea last week and everything, but I totally think I'm going to steal this from you now. And I'm totally giving him 1,000% my go ahead.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, no part of me ever thought you wouldn't be cool with it, but I still was just like, hey, man, remember that idea and that really cool name you had? I stole it.
Yeah.
And I basically made a show since we talked last week.
Yeah, a lot of my ideas are just fucking brain farts that hit the air and solidify into a turd. But someone else has to really take the shit because I won't do it.
So the idea of just watch, like, I just really wanted to, I needed a reason to watch the Fast and the Furious movies. Otherwise, I just won't. This gave me an excuse, and then we were really just stealing the name from you.
Yeah.
Because we had the idea for like Matt's review the classics, and it's like, well, none of these movies are actually classics. And what if one of us can't be there and we still want to do an episode? So we stuck with Fast and Furious, which will be even better after we get through the Fast and the Furious movies. But I said, but at that point, no one's gonna fucking care what we're watching because it's probably, hopefully, people will just be listening to us because of the conversation. Yeah.
What we hoped about this show, and then it proved to not be true.
I mean, but for what it's worth, we have consistent numbers.
Yes,
they're not like amazing.
0 is consistent number.
Yeah, I mean,
let me know when we get back up to our prized 7 listenership.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have like record-breaking numbers, but we consistently have the same group of people, and I'm super thankful for that. We've been doing this we're almost 4 years into this, and a large number of people still come back, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Although I felt really bad when Matt and I were talking numbers, and he was telling me the UMSO numbers, and I'm like, yeah, we're okay. Like, fuck, man.
Look at Erica's numbers for Apex and the Abyss coming back, which I think
There's
is
that too.
got a new episode coming out tomorrow.
Yes. Also,
Unless you're a Patreon subscriber, which case you've already
I
enjoyed
think it's already. I always make fun of her because I'm like, I pay for your Patreon, but I still listen to them on Spotify.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to play SoundCloud or whatever it is, Patreon, through my phone in my car.
Well, you usually can get a feed from Patreon and put it into your average podcast app. It's just it gives you a special feed for that.
Or I wait 3 days.
But if you already listen to Spotify, then just keep listening to Spotify.
Yeah, I'm so backlogged that it's really not a big deal. She wants to come back and watch Brightburn.
Okay.
Which I totally am down for. I'm trying to get some shit out of the way here. Anthony's going to be back in 2 weeks.
Yep.
To
Anthony,
talk about
we were expecting next week, but his schedule conflicted. So hopefully 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And I understand fucked up schedules.
Oh yeah, which is fine because we wanted to do one of the we wanted to do the first Purge movie around the 4th of July. So this way it'll be out right before the 4th of July. I'm hoping I can get my bomb pop beer. I don't know if it'll be out yet, but that's the plan. You got to get your red, white, and dew.
I have my patriotic dew carbonated diabetic soda sitting in the fridge and waiting for me.
I saw red, white, and blueberry Pop-Tarts. Beat says Brightburn, she really hates you. Is that movie looked pretty good? I don't know. I'm curious if he knows something I don't.
If he's seen it, he probably knows a lot that you don't.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know if he's seen it or not.
And if he hasn't seen it, he probably still knows a lot that you don't.
And that's a very good point. He claimed to be driving through a tunnel when I asked him to edit Cast and Furious, but he's answering quite quickly.
It's cute that you bought into that.
I really just wanted his horrendous dad joke to be recorded for all of eternity. I've heard mixed things about it. I think the concept's really cool. If you're not familiar, it's if Superman was a kid but a villain, which someone hinted to me. There's a post-credits scene that points to an evil Aquaman and maybe an evil Captain Marvel.
I thought the post-credit scenes was just going to be Zack Snyder and David Goyer in a room
jerking each other off.
Yeah.
Oof.
Like, we were right. It's absolutely the best thing ever. Michael Bay just walks by and takes a picture and then edits a Transformer into it 2 months later. And this is why I'm not allowed on the action podcast. I have opinions.
No, we all have opinions. What else? Ooh, I did want to talk to you, and since we're recording, I guess this conversation will just be recorded. The Saw movie marathon.
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to handle that? So we're getting together. Okay, so some backstory here. Some friends of ours.
I need to be in on this backstory because I don't know what the fuck
I thought I told you about. So some friends of ours, we had talked about the Saw movies, and my buddy's wife had never seen them. So I was like, fuck it, let's watch them all. And then I was like, wait, I'm going to watch 8 movies. I might as well make this a podcast. So I had mentioned to you doing all of the Saw movies probably 2 by 2.
Yep.
We're watching 1 and 2 next weekend. So I don't know how you'd want to handle recording that. Because and I told Mike we may just need to push it out a couple weeks. So we'd be watching them, and then like a couple weeks later we'd be talking about them.
I don't know of any specific plans next weekend. So if we're
supposed to do the Purge.
We are supposed to do the Purge. So if we do the Purge and we do 2 Saw movies, it may be something that I can handle doing.
Okay.
Aaron was watching one of the Saws the other day.
I mean, worst case, we just the week after Anthony's on, we start doing the Saw movies.
That would probably make the most sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking, but I wanted to run it past you too.
But it's got to work with the schedule of whoever you have actually coming over and being physically present in your house. Maybe I'll just FaceTime you guys too while you're doing it.
Deal with it.
Isn't there some process of like being able to watch stuff as a group through online? I know Facebook has something like that.
Facebook does, yeah.
Yeah, but Facebook's bullshit.
Yeah, we talked about watching
Facebook, which is basically its own version of the Purge, just slowly happening. We're gonna make our own currency. Whee!
I watched Terminator Genesis again. It actually took me like 2 days to finish it because I forgot.
I still haven't been able to make it through that goddamn movie.
I thought it was really good in the theater, and I watched it again, and I was like, this is really not a good movie. I now see why they're scrapping that 3 and Salvation for Dark Fate.
You mean they're Halloweening it? Oh wait, no, Halloween ignores Halloween 2 as well. So I mean, it's really
but
they're H2Oing it. Eventually, 20 years down the road, they'll Halloween 2018 it.
But to your point, though, yes, they're Halloweening it, where they're just like, hey, ignore these 3 movies that you've seen, and this just happens in here now. Like,
and in the context of Terminator movies, that's the brand. You know, you should be fucking with history. That's the kind of stuff where that makes sense.
Right.
And it's all these other things where it's like, okay, whatever, but I don't see an issue with it. Just do them the best you can. I thought Genesis was going to be a lot more fun by embracing that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a piss poor Terminator movie that took the greatest idea for a Terminator movie and fucked it up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Beat points
on the upside, no Edward Furlong. So
no, and I kind of like him. But Beat points out that the Halloween 2 that they announced coming out in 2020 is the 3rd Halloween 2.
Yes,
which is it's fucking weird to think about, but I don't know.
So Child's Play came out this weekend, and everybody's talking about how it's actually really good. And even Child's Play purists, which it's surprising that there is such a thing, but okay. And I kind of would be too. I usually am that guy. But Child's Play purists are like, you can still really like this new Child's Play.
Right.
It doesn't take away from the other one. You can have both coexist. And that's great. And all of that sounds great. But then that means that will there be a Child's Play 2 for this version while they're going to Child's Play 14 and a half,
had they
the
mentioned
miniseries, whatever.
Did they mention that this was the start of a new trilogy?
I just can't imagine that you have especially a horror genre movie come out that has some success and not make it into at least a trilogy.
Well, and that's the thing. I assume that anytime a horror movie comes out, the assumption is there's going to be at least 3 of them. But I don't know if Child's Play, the original Child's Play, was ever meant to be. I mean, there's only. Never mind. Now that I think about it, there are way more.
Yeah, I think.
What's up, Growly?
Anthologies or not anthologies?
Trilogies?
Trilogies or just in general, like the long-standing, like episode 18 or whatever of this movie happens more in horror movies than anything else. They really landed it more than, and then not necessarily before Star Wars, but that was the genre that you were constantly seeing, like Freddy Krueger comes back, Jason comes back, Michael comes back. Oh, Michael's not in this one. We fucked up. Let's put Michael in the next one again.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. They did it more than any other film genre out there until, now. Like every once in a while you'd have a Lethal Weapon series or something, but it was almost always horror movies. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's the best thing or the worst thing in the world. Or I watched the documentary about that Troll 2 movie you were talking about.
Yeah.
And well, I'm through about an hour of it. And yeah, the fact that it wasn't even a troll movie. There's no troll in it.
No, it sorry, I know that the overseas the name of the movie is Goblin.
Yep.
Which there are goblins, and then the fact that the city that they're in is Neilbog, which is just goblin spelled backwards.
Right.
But Troll 1 is also
as an actual troll.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I haven't seen it, but I know that 2 has nothing to do with 1, and then there's a third one that also has no troll.
Troll 3s. There's 2 Troll 3s that have nothing to do with the other movies. Because again, someone just like, well, we're just going to slap Troll on the marquee and that'll sell it because obviously Troll 2 was such a huge success.
Right.
But sometimes it's easier to sell a name that's recognizable with a 3 after it than it is to sell a new film. That's why I was Aaron and I were talking about that Curse of La Llorona. If that had,
I like how you just speed through the word because we don't know how to say it.
we don't know, and it's not worth knowing.
So Growly says the XXX version is Freddy and Jason Keep Coming. I had to put that out there.
That is the porn version that I
fucking awesome.
Yeah. I thought he meant XXX like Vin Diesel and then Vin Diesel.
What would you call the XXX parody of the XXX movies? XXX. I need to Google carefully right now.
It's like more math than you can handle. Here's a bunch of dick.
Oh yeah, XXX 2002. Oh man, we gotta maybe Cast and the Furious needs to do these XXX movies too.
XXX 2 was on
Return of
TV
Xander
yesterday.
Cage.
And then number 3 was on another station after that. And I'm like, holy shit. Now, so XXX number 3, as I recall, just from seeing the previews, because there was no way I was going to go watch that shit.
Is the third one out?
Oh, yeah. It's been out for a few years now.
Sorry. The Return of Xander Cage is 3.
40 years old, still doing skateboard tricks. It was not cool.
Don't harsh Vin Diesel's
at all.
mellow.
But I'm just saying, like, the cool stuff about XXX at the time that it came out and was the extreme sports stuff and everything was fine, was absolutely fine. But 20 years later, and Xander is still out there with his board trying to ollie and shit. It looks about as stupid as I say the Fast and the Furious movies seem to me. This is well beyond that. This is a beautiful thing to behold. This is self-parody. Which, again, I don't hate if they actually are treating it as self-parody.
So there's a fourth one, apparently.
Oh, fuck, no. Is Ice Cube back?
No.
Is it the corpse of Eazy-E?
I use an ad blocker. It gets really mad at me all the time.
Is Samuel L. Jackson in
nothing for it? Zay Chow, Zoe Zhang, Roy Wang, Deepika Padukone, and Vin Diesel are the only people that are announced for it.
Oh, okay. So it's not out yet. And
No.
It sounds like a bunch of names being said in the same way that we tried to talk about the name of the movie last week.
Yep.
Anyways, if that movie from last week, Curse of whatever, had come out and it had said The Conjuring Part 6, although it takes place years before Part 2, but after Part 1. And somehow they do some algebra in the screen.
There's on-screen physics.
Yeah, it would have at least been received differently, I think, because again, you and I had no idea that it was even a Conjuring movie.
No, but
going into it.
I don't think I would have liked it any better if it wasn't a Conjuring movie.
I don't know if I would have liked it better, but it probably would have gotten more attention.
And to be perfectly honest, if they wouldn't have had the scene where they pulled out Annabelle, I never would have fucking put it together.
Right.
So. I mean, I didn't want to talk about it last week. I don't want to talk about it this week.
I felt bad with last week's show. Like, we finished up and I'm just like, shit, we really had nothing to say about that movie.
I felt a little dirty.
It was a letdown. It was such a letdown because there was nothing that we could say that was new about a film where there was nothing new. And it just, if there was ever a show of just not even going through the motions, it just kind of like, this is fucked up. Do you want to get out of here? Yeah, I want to get out of here.
Do you ever think that you're jaded by having watched a lot of fucking really bad movies?
I kind of considered that. I kind of felt like after 4 years, is it too much of the genre? But no, it's not the genre. It's not horror movies themselves at all, because I think we can come in and have a great time with a movie, and some movies can be very surprising, or some movies can just be really good at doing the things that you expect. And that movie didn't do either one.
I need to sidebar real quick. Growly asked, is it pronounced Samuel L. Jackson or Samu L. Jackson? If he's not serious, this is a very good troll.
Samu L. is actually the father of a Kryptonian killer whale that showed up at SeaWorld years ago. Didn't get to help save the world because due to their poor conditions, he just drowned in his own feces.
What?
Nothing. I was trying to put it together in my head as it came out, and it's just like somebody somewhere will understand what I was going for in that joke. And if you do, you can write to us at pot@gmcast.com.
Just so. All right, I know I've mentioned I've been watching Home Improvement start to finish. And the way that you worded that reminded me of when Tim does something stupid and Al pulls out the card and it's just the mailing address to send complaints.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I worry more about the emails and stuff about like our new rating system, those kind of things. My dumb jokes, whatever just doesn't hit. I don't think anybody's going to waste the time on.
We get emails?
No.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, we could.
None of this matters.
No, none of it does matter.
Nope.
Do you know what does matter? Kill list.
I'm very, very confused by this.
How are you confused?
Well, it was.
Give me your impersonation of the film, because I always lead with the description, and that's not fair.
I was super fucking bored by the movie to start, but then the problem is like all of a sudden, it takes this left turn into pure insanity, and then by that point, I was so confused by what was happening. Now,
where did it turn interesting for you?
When they were I was trying to. I think it's the MP part, but they're in a field, and there's like. So the first time my ear perked up is when the chick pulls the mirror off the bathroom wall and inscribes that symbol in it. And then I was kind of like, all right, like this is because when we started watching it, I'm like, how is this even a horror movie?
And a lot of the movie is not technically feel like what you would consider a horror movie. It's not a slasher pick. It's not a, monster pick as far as you can tell. It's what I compared it to Aaron today is it's Guy Ritchie's Hereditary. But neither of those things. It's not Guy Ritchie because it doesn't have the humor level, but it does have those kind of characters that you would see in a Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels or Snatched or Layer Cake. Layer Cake is the one that I like, which is not Guy Ritchie, but still a fun movie about like a couple British guys who were doing sort of underhanded or heinous shit. In this case, they're ex-military ops people who do assassinations to make some money. So the main guy in this, he and his wife are fighting about money because they're out of cash. And he hasn't worked in several months. And so his best friend, who he was in the military with, comes back and he's like, hey, I've got this guy who wants us to do these jobs and it pays really good. And the wife kind of pushes him towards it. And the job is to kill 3 people. And in the meeting with the dude who's giving him the job, who looks a little bit like the Slender Man dude from Phantasm movies, he's got that kind of air.
Yep.
Or looks like the dude with the cat from Harry Potter. Anyway, he not only has him sign a contract, but he pulls out a blade and cuts his hand, and then cuts his own hand as like a blood contract kind of thing. This is after, like what Matt said, dude's friend who shows up for the dinner and everything to say, hey, we've got this job that we can do, brings a girl with him who's new, and then partway through the night she goes and she scrapes a symbol in behind a mirror. You don't really know why. It just sort of happens, and then she leaves, and it all kind of goes on from there. There's something in the next morning where there's a dead rabbit in their yard, and he winds up eating the dead rabbit. I don't exactly know what was going on with that, other than the fact that he's ex-military and he's trying to show off. And so the job is to go kill these people. First person is a priest. They lay down plastic in the office of the priest and everything. He comes in there. He realizes that he's about to be killed. He looks at him and says, thank you. And then turns around and gets shot in the back of the head. And it's like, well, that's kind of peculiar.
Yeah.
And are you into it yet? You've now seen somebody get shot.
Just, you fucking maniac. So here's, like I said, is the point at which I finally got into it. I was so lost because it took me so long to actually get into it in the first place that I have to go back and watch this. So
I do feel like this would require a couple of viewings.
yes, because even I mean I didn't watch it super early, but I didn't watch it super late. Not a whole lot happened at first. There's just a lot of talking and backstory, and you're meeting people. And I guess with a movie called Kill List about a botched assassination or a botched murder attempt or whatever, I expected a little more right out of the gate.
Yeah, the buildup of the family stuff is a little slow, but I didn't find it horrible. They jump scenes, like you can see the scenes probably recorded more, and then the editing is done to kind of make them a little more succinct. I like the relationship between the dad and his son.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's supposed to show the fact that he feels kind of forced in the situation, and he also feels like he doesn't have a lot to offer right now. When he says that he's been out of work for 8 months because of his back or his health or whatever, and she yells at him, she's like, "There's nothing wrong with you. It's just in your head." You realize that what is going on with him is he's got a bit of PTSD from his time in the military. They reference a couple of points, something that happened in Kiev. And
Chicken Kiev?
Yes, exactly. It was a point in time where he was making chicken, and the stove had burnt over. He got sauce everywhere, burned his wang, and so on.
Never stir a hot roux with your dick tip.
Never fry bacon when you're naked. So that's kind of the crux of it, is that they go and they start doing this job, and he starts to kind of develop his coolness. He gets his this is how Stella got her groove back, if Stella's groove came from killing people.
Yeah.
He starts to get a little bit meaner. He gets abusive on some church guy who's singing in a restaurant that they're at. He just gets all up in people's faces and stuff. And the fact that the money problem is still there still weighs on him, but he's kind of like, but I'm a badass. I can fucking take somebody down. And it amps up his testosterone to a point where not only is he murdering people, but the next person that they go after, the librarian, they go to the place where the librarian's got a bunch of records and stuff at, and they start seeing videos. And the videos are very disturbing things that he and some other people have done, presumably, I'm going to guess, to children or something. I don't know. They don't show it. It reminded me of a scene in the first season of True Detective when they find some videos and Woody Harrelson is watching them and just starts freaking out at the screen because of how disturbing they are. This is kind of like that. So they find the librarian, and he, instead of just killing him cleanly, tortures him and pummels him to death with a hammer. And it's a pretty violent scene. It's one of the more violent parts of the movie, in a movie where people get killed, because they show it a lot more. They make it more integral to what's going on. But he gets so pissed off that he asks him where the people are who helped him make those videos. And instead of just cleaning up and getting out of there like they're supposed to, the job of that is done. He wants to go after them. So he leaves his friend in the car, and he's like, we're going to go fucking do this right now. And he's like, you can sit in the car and wait. Give me 20 minutes. And if I'm not out, come get me. But he just goes in and tears those people up. Also, at the same time, when he does kill the librarian, finally, the librarian is again thanking him for doing it. Mm-hmm. The librarian and the priest both seem to recognize him as something that he doesn't understand what that is about. His partner, when he's dealing with the librarian, goes upstairs, finds a safe, opens it up, and finds enough money in there that would pay them essentially what they were supposed to make off of the job as it is, so they can just quit. And he suggested to him, he's like, why don't we just get out of this? And they go to see the person who hired them in the first place. He's like, yeah, you can quit, but we'll kill you. We'll kill your families. We'll make sure that you pay for it. It's not just about the cash. It's about finishing the job. Also, his hand that had been cut open has an infection that won't go away. He goes and sees a doctor, and it's not his regular doctor.
Fucking weird.
Yeah, it's so we know that there's something deeper going on, but we don't have as much of an inkling as to what it is yet. So they do decide to go and do the final job, but he sends his wife and his son off to like a family farm or something to be hidden away so that, if anything goes wrong, people don't come after them.
Yeah.
And in the final job is they go to see, like you mentioned, the MP. And the MP, they're out in this field, and there's all these people walking through, a lot of them naked. So this is where it really reminded me of Hereditary. And it's basically like this big cult. And they have a ritual killing, but also seem voluntary of the person. What do you got to say?
Nothing. I just yeah. I thought this part was although one of the most interesting. It was also kind of cheesy because I just didn't really. That's it. All boils down to the fact that I need to watch this movie again
because you weren't seeing the connectedness between it and the story so far.
Right.
I feel like whereas I have a lot of problems Hereditary, how they introduce the cult and stuff, and they don't really do enough to make it feel like it's warranted. This, I think they were showing you the stuff about the cult as it was happening, but it goes from 0 to 50 really fast at that point. And it's not just that we get the cult, which is it was a pretty good depiction of it. It was a little bit like The Wicker Man, I think, but overall, the person who gets hung has barbed wire wrapped around her eyes and stuff, and they're all wearing these straw masks. It's a good visual, but then he sees them, they sacrifice the person, or the person sacrifices themselves, and they're hanging there twitching, and he's got a machine gun, and he just starts firing at everybody, even though his partner's like, there's too many of them, don't do this.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm going to just fucking shoot him. And so the person is their target, like, just stands there and opens up his arms, like, accepting, is like, yes, rain down on me, which is basically his way of saying thank you, to let this happen. And then everybody from the cult starts chasing him through the woods and into these tunnels that are supposed to be their escape out of there. And they get separated in the tunnels. The friend is doing a pretty good job fending him off, but has to reload. Someone gets up on him, cuts him open. He gets to finally blast him in the head, but he's gone. He's just like, I'm not going to make it. So dude has to come back, finish off his friend, get out. Goes back to the farm where his wife and son are, tells her that they got to get out of there, looks outside, and there are all these burning torches around. This kind of reminded me, it wasn't Beyond the Gates. There was one that we watched with the cultish thing. It felt like an 80s movie not too long ago.
Shit. I gotta look at the list. Beyond the Gates was the VCR.
Was the video game or the VHS tape?
Yeah. All right, cult.
There was.
Fuck, I have no idea how I'm gonna figure this out.
We'll have to go off the movie list.
That's what I was looking at.
I liked.
Even
I think we both liked it. It was like an 80s style, but it was modern, and they were all in a hospital, and the doctor was basically trying to conjure up a baby.
Fuck, which one is that? Fuck, isn't it? It's fuck. I want to say like no, can't even think of the name. 6 points, something. As much as I wish it was Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, it's not that.
No, it's before that. Anyway,
is it before that one? We did that before that.
I believe so.
Okay,
shortly before it, but still, it was before that.
Welcome to Willits?
No. That doesn't sound familiar, actually. I don't know what the hell that is.
Me fucking either.
Is that the one where they had the weed monster?
Oh, yes. Yep, that's the alien one. Man, we watched a lot of fucking movies.
We've watched a lot of movies. This is not pertinent. But anyways,
No,
so,
this is gonna bother me. We have to figure this out.
all right, you go ahead.
Southbound.
No, Southbound is when they were all in hell.
That's the one that I was thinking of.
4 anthologies.
Okay.
It felt like a Clive Barker-ish kind of thing, but
It's not the one with the cops, is it?
there were cops in it.
Okay. I just saw it. Where's the fuck?
Cop has the ex-girlfriend or ex-wife that works at the hospital, and the grandfather and the daughter come in because she's pregnant, and the power gets cut down, and all the cult people start showing up around it.
Fuck, The Void.
The Void. That's it.
All right.
See, it's such a common title, but it worked really well.
Yep, I feel better about that.
Yeah, so in The Void, there's the part where just like all the cult starts showing up outside.
Yep.
And in this, there is the cult kind of shows up around the farm. They put out all these burning torches, and the guy goes out to try to eliminate as many of them as he can to protect his wife and his son. And then he gets knocked out really fast. But the wife goes out and starts shooting people and is pretty fucking good at it.
Well, it's a movie.
Yeah, but overall, I felt like she must have had some training that
I mean, it's a movie.
we're not privy to.
No, it's a movie.
Yeah. But we don't see what happens to them. So the guy wakes up with the cult basically back in the woods where he had been earlier to kill the MP. And they want him to take out one more person, which is the Hunchback. And so they put one of the straw masks on him. The Hunchback is dressed similarly with a big mask and sheet wrapped over them. And he goes to fight the Hunchback, takes it out without much of a struggle, and then realize after killing that it's his wife with his son strapped to her back, which was, if I'm going to make a comparison to anything, it's probably going to be to The Mist as far as like, oh, that's a fucked up ending. But then they crown him and initiate him essentially into the cult.
Yeah.
Which is what reminded me of Hereditary.
Yeah.
But again, this movie came out in 2011, before a lot of those other things did. So it's not ripping anything off. As I was watching this, I felt a bit of a Kubrick vibe to it, because, and I guess this was actually something that was said. The director, this was only his second movie, did things where he would choose a place and then kind of build the scene around the place to have it be more impactful, so that wherever they were actually felt like it was a bigger portion of the film. So artistically, it had that going for it. What I think you struggled with, and what I would normally struggle with, is that it doesn't give a lot of explanation about what's going on, or even at the end, like what it was. Although one of my problems with Hereditary is that at the end they bang the explanation of what actually happened into you, as opposed to explaining it in the story. They're just like, here's a big download of what this all fucking meant and why you sat here for 2 hours. But for the most part, I felt like this did things that were similar to those, but better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
But you were still lost.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. I was lost. I mean...
Were you paying attention? Were you watching other stuff? Were you playing video games?
I wasn't playing video games. I was paying attention and grocery shopping.
Yeah. And grocery shopping while you're doing it?
Yeah, but a lot of times I can do that and watch movies and still follow them quite easily. So don't fucking patronize me. I'm
not patronizing you. I'm just saying that there are times when a movie requires more of your attention.
Right, and nine times out of 10, the horror movies don't require that.
True.
So
very, very true.
But I will admit that I wasn't giving it my full attention, and that I do need to go and rewatch it.
And I think we established before that if you decide that you are willing to rewatch something to get more out of the story, that's a good sign.
Yep.
It's not like you're like, I don't know what happened and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I don't know. Just don't fucking know.
Yeah. But I don't know. In the range of what this movie, knowing what it's about now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was an interesting concept. It's not a bad movie. I just need to sit down and like actually think about it, figure out what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, I don't want to say that you're going to be disappointed because they don't give you.
No, I'm not going to like, cram this 90-minute movie into 90 minutes of free time that I have on a night. Like, it'll be something where it's like, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I'll just watch that movie again.
So Crowley is asking, what did the cut on the guy's hand have to do with the plot? Now, that's a good question.
Oh.
I think it was, in a sense, to control him. There's a couple of points. So the woman who shows up at the party, or not the party, but the dinner at first, she finds some napkins with his blood from when he had cut himself shaving, when his kid poked him while he was shaving earlier and he cut himself. So she collected those. When the guy cuts his hand, he bleeds all over the place. He gets it on the carpet and stuff. I think they were trying to get parts of his blood to either to control him, which we see because the wound doesn't heal up, or to find out if he's worthy of what it is they're doing. But they don't explain it. It seems like it's integrated into what the cult is trying to do, but they never tell us really who the cult is. And one of the things director/writer said about this is that he thinks cults are more interesting when you don't know a lot about them. It's the mystery of them that gives you the distrust that makes them scarier. If you explain what a cult is, like, nobody's afraid of Scientologists. We just think they're dumb. But when it was all behind closed doors and just quote unquote religion, it was a little bit creepier. It was just creepy. Now it's just like, you fucking bastards and your rich money. You got too much going on. Tom Cruise is short. Fucking live with it. But whatever.
Sorry. I recently rewatched Tropic Thunder. So Tom Cruise is hilarious in that film.
Tom Cruise is a very talented guy. And as really far as action movies go, yeah. I am highly enamored with the Mission Impossible series from 3 on. I haven't a couple of times. It's rough.
I haven't watched probably past 3, but I've heard they're good. It's just
they get better and better as they go along. I haven't seen the newest one, but I've heard really good things about it too. But I went through like the series from 3 on to whatever a couple summers ago.
Yeah.
With Erin, and she's like, "This is good. I would watch another one of these." I'm like, "Well, great, because I've got another one to watch."
There's 37 more.
And I'm never mad that there's more of them because they all seem to be pretty good.
Well, they keep coming out too, right?
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure there's another one coming out this year.
I don't know.
Next year,
but I'd be okay with that. That's one of those things that I'm not hating on Tom Cruise. I'm just saying, if he has a problem with himself or with the fact that he keeps trying to pretend he likes ladies.
Well,
dude.
That's the thing. I mean, he's fucking weird, but he is a really good actor. I mean, regardless of how, regardless of how you want to twist it or whatever. I mean, he's a very good actor.
Yeah, it's okay to be a weirdo behind the scenes. Just try to stay
back there, please.
Yeah, we only see you in front of the camera. Make that happen, and do your behind the scenes stuff where we don't get involved in it. Don't show up jumping on a couch on Oprah.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
But I mean, how far is that from the guy who was running for president and was like, yeah, just
oh, that guy's still
you get people with cameras on you all the time, and you have like one weird day, like your blood sugar's off, you get a little stupid. I do a podcast. I get stupid here.
That's a good point. I get drunk. Probably stupid, but I just say it's drunk.
Yeah, you at least get to blame it on something. No one's going after Lipton iced tea people and saying, what did you do to Corey? It's that that guy seemed fucked up.
They
And we know
slipped-
it's only
they
drinks.
slipped it in on you.
Yeah.
Never
but
go
still,
full weirdo. Exactly, Growly.
That's fair.
Sorry, you were gonna say something and I cut you off.
No, I don't know. Really, what did you think about this movie in the fact that we've now watched 4 years of movies, and how is it, and comparatively, like, is it more original? Is it more of like, I've made comparisons to a bunch of other movies that we've watched.
Yeah.
But again, this came out before those.
But it's still a fairly original movie, fairly original concept.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that I usually beg for, which is something to do something new, to not be built on the premise of something else,
Yeah.
to surprise you. Mixing genres, I think, works very well in this case, of having the two assassin guys, like what was it, Law of the Gun or whatever. There were a bunch of movies like that. Boondock Saints, Way of the Gun. That it takes something that could have worked just on its own as a movie, but then does twist it into being in the horror genre as well.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I liked everything about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want to hear if you liked it, if you have thoughts on it.
I have lots of thoughts on it. I actually have none. Sorry, I was sidetracked because my dog's scratching at my door, and I'm trying to make sure he's not going to shit on the floor.
Let him in so he can shit in your mouth directly.
I don't want dog poop in my mouth. I want naughty cat poop. Fuck. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I really want to rewatch this. Good night, Growly Bear. Sleep tight, bud. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Or as I prefer, night, night. Keep your butthole tight. I want to rewatch this movie before I really say too much, because I didn't hate it. I may hate it after I watch it again. I may think it is a dog pile of dog shit. All I can think about are my dogs, because fuck, you won't stop scratching at the door. Yeah, I know what I'm going to rate it, but I'm rating it that because I want to rewatch it. So after I rewatch it, I may change my mind.
Well, then why don't you go ahead and rate it, sir?
I'm going to give her a fuck.
And in a hope to refuck.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to turn this one night stand into a 2-night stand.
You're hoping that you came home drunk from the bar, you fucked the movie, but you weren't at your best.
I woke up the next morning and I didn't go, "Oh God, what did I do?"
You had a little bit of a whiskey dick, and now you're waking up and you're like, I'm gonna get a drink. I'm gonna have a hair of the dog, and then we're gonna see if we can start this party again.
Yeah.
Before I give you cab fare home.
Yeah.
Or see if it spawns a relationship, or see if you're just gonna murder it there on your mattress, and have to call Casper and say, "I've only had this for 60 nights. Send me a new one."
It's 100 nights. I gotta let this fucking dog in so he doesn't scratch a hole in my door.
Get to send it back. I don't even know where you went. You just rolled away.
Sorry, it's fucking.
You let your dogs in.
Oh God, I hit his head. It's just this one.
Oh, he's so cute.
Well, Alyssa had to go do some rabbit stuff, so they're just out there. Someone probably pooped on the floor.
Probably.
Yeah, this is wicked. If you're not watching this means nothing to you.
I've got a kitten gaming and sleeping on my massaging chair across the way from me right now, and he's just like totally into it. This is the greatest thing ever. I love naps. They're so awesome.
This tank is Dieter. He doesn't know what he's doing with his life. All right. Where were we? I'm sorry. I get sidetracked by my dogs very easily.
You had fucked the film.
I came right in its belly button. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I'm similar in that I enjoyed it enough to have it around.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a keeper, but it's certainly not something that I hated at all. And I'm fascinated with the premise enough, not just to see it again, but I hate the fact that I want this, but I wouldn't mind a sequel. I wouldn't mind something to follow it up. You know, it gets the choice of being one of these things where it only is what it is, and it's fantastic that way. Like a Pontypool. Like, I was so hungry for more Pontypool.
Pontypool is the one I was thinking of before we were talking. When I asked about the cops, that's the movie I was thinking of, and then okay.
No cops in Pontypool.
Oh, it's the radio station. Why did it? Yeah. Okay.
But I really like that because it was like there's so much there that you could still explore, but you don't have to.
Right.
And here it's the same thing. It's like I definitely salivating for a little bit more on this.
But how would you even make if you made a second one? How would you make a second one? Like I
would probably do it where it's a side sequel. It's not the same characters, but it's something to do with the cult. It's following what their motivations are, or
so
how do we?
You're going to make Troll 2.
Yeah. Like what was about those three people that they had to die for this to happen, and they all seem to go voluntarily.
Beat says if you want a sequel, you're part of the problem.
I am part of the problem. That's the thing. Never give the audience what they want or what they expect.
No, but
because it subserves the story a lot of the time. It's when you say, "Hey, I want to make a sequel for this because I have a really good idea." That's one thing. But when you say, "Oh, the audience really responded to this movie, we got to bust out a sequel right now," it's like maybe you don't.
Yeah, no, you don't need to do shit. Well, that's but so there's this like two-sided problem is like you don't need to put out a sequel, but you want more money.
And you definitely want more money.
Yeah, and it's very easy to get more money if you just make a sequel, regardless.
Right. That, like we were saying earlier, if you pitch this as part of a shared universe or something like that, then you've got an instant attraction to something that may not be as good a film as the first one and doesn't stand up, but at least there are people who will pay to see it. As we get a new Paranormal Activity coming out soon.
Yeah, what's up with that? How much did you read about that?
Not a lot.
Okay.
I haven't made it through all the Paranormal Activity films. I made it through like number 4, but even with that, I can't say that I paid too much attention to them because a lot of Paranormal Activity to me is like being invited over your friend's house to see their slides from their vacation.
Ooh. See, I really like the first one. My wife actually got carded in the movie theater to see the first one. we were 25 at the time, so I do like telling that story. She was very young. I wasn't sure if it was like a reboot or another sequel or whatever the fuck they want to call it, but
I don't know which I would have more disdain for.
I'll see it. I know for a fact I'll see it. I don't think I'll like it.
I'll watch it 1,000 times as I'm walking through the room when Erin's got it on.
Yeah, that's different.
Because she really liked those movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I appreciated the idea behind them as they went on and they built around what was the secret as to what was happening in these families, like where this all was coming from.
Yeah.
But 80% of the films is just shit floats around the house in front of your security camera.
Well, don't forget the one with the Xbox Kinect.
Right.
That was kind of interesting. Admit that.
I guess it just like I feel like when they got to the point where the teen girl was dealing with it with all of her webcam stuff and everything, it's like that was at least changing for the technology of where we are, is how this could still be happening. But all of it still feels like no story for an hour and 20 minutes to get 10 minutes of excitement at the end.
But that's what made the first one so good to people.
See, I don't get that.
I don't get it either. But it was like, nothing really happened. It was a lot of implied action. And then at the end is when shit hit the fan. But that was the same with the first Blair Witch Project. Oh, fuck. We should watch that one. Soon.
Have we not?
We have not watched the
original?
The most recent one.
Oh, the most recent one.
Yeah. I don't think we've actually done any of them, to be honest. Blair Witch. Nope.
Oh, that's weird.
Because I assumed at some point someone would have wanted to watch it. I think that's why we waited.
But in truth, nobody wants to watch it.
You're not wrong.
No, I think it's funny because a lot of people complain that certain movies, all they are, as far as a horror film, is they're just jump scares. That Curse movie, same thing. Like people said, all it was a bunch of jump scares.
Yeah.
But the Paranormal Activity was one jump scare.
It was just at the end
for the worst jump scare.
But the thing is you've been so conditioned to expect
believe
a
that
jump.
Nothing is going to happen because nothing happens for an hour and a half.
Well, but here's the thing: is you spent 20 years being jump scared and it catching you by surprise. That Paranormal Activity comes out, and now you're spending 90 minutes waiting for a jump scare that never shows up until the last 90 seconds.
Right.
So I think
what you got to do is you got to reverse that. You got to really subvert people's expectations with a jump scare right at the beginning, and then nothing happens for an hour and a half. In fact, the next hour and a half is just the credits rolling.
What?
Really?
I think that's how we've done really well with our episodes, is that we spend 90 minutes and people are expecting us to talk about a movie and we never do.
That's true.
So sometimes we flip the script. Yeah, sometimes we flip the script and talk about the movie early and for the entire show. And then people are like, oh shit, they've changed. And then just 100 more episodes where we talk about it for 90 seconds.
Yeah, it's just like basically we're the horrible abusive relationship. Like, I'm sorry, baby, you know I can do better. I'm gonna change. And then like for 2 weeks you got it great, and then all of a sudden it's right back to it, and you finish off with a burning bed. You don't know the reference. Burning Bed was an 80s movie about an abusive relationship with Farrah Fawcett.
I've never seen it. I had no idea what it was.
But God, it did seem like it was such a big part of the social zeitgeist at that point in time.
Yeah. Did you rate this?
I did. I said I would also like to.
You'd fornicate?
Make sweet, sweet love to it.
Okay, fuck. I'll stop changing it to fuck.
And on rewatches, it may become a more responsive relation. We could friend with benefit.
Yeah, sorry, I was just kissing my dog.
That's what gave me the idea of my rating.
Fucking, sometimes I forget I'm on the internet.
Well, now we're gonna get all the hits.
Yeah, right. Like, podcast Terror at dogs. Look at this face. Just, if you're listening to this is not awesome, but I'm just making my dog look at the camera
and lick your beard.
That's fine. I'm sure I have crumbs in it. The microphone's picking this up too.
Well, at least that's something for the audio listeners.
No, that's funny. I don't know, do you have anything else you want to say?
Movie go round?
Yeah, what about it? You're just plugging it?
I have to do it, man. I feel like shit. I had such a great time hanging out with those guys. I love their show. They did an episode of Scott Pilgrim recently. I was like really bummed I wasn't a part of that because I love that movie. But I love hanging out with them. And so to now at least twice say their name wrong sucks.
At least you get invited to be on shows. I don't.
I show up sober.
I show up sober. It's halfway through that I get a little too drunk.
Yeah. The promise of me is that I'm not going to be drunk by the end of the show.
If they asked me not to drink, I wouldn't drink.
And you just won't make it to the end of the show.
If they asked me not to drink, I wouldn't drink.
I know. I'm sure that they would love to have you on.
I'm more fun when I'm drunk. I tried going to a bachelorette party last night.
Easier. Yeah, you can just sit there and have drunk Matt lick your face like his dog is doing to him right now.
And my dog does it to me when I'm sober. I let him do it when I'm sober. I feel like you're not fully appreciating the fact that I tried to attend a bachelorette party last night.
No, I completely appreciate it. I have thrown a bachelorette party in my day. We got all the guys to show up in drag.
Oh, yeah, that's way cool. This was like the epitome of drunk white girls at a baseball game, listening to Little John.
We were all a bunch of drunk white girls, except with penises, which is not a discounted item at that point.
No, not at all. You don't really need a penis is just a utensil. I don't know
Not
what
how
I'm
I
saying.
thought of it, but sure.
Yeah, it's just a fuck utensil.
I consider it more of an applicator. But
Instead of a fork, it's like my fuck fork. I think I just coined a new term. I'm gonna start calling my dick my fuck fork. All right, let me text my wife that one.
you got to be careful because if we say it on the show and by the next week we're gonna have a podcast, somebody else called that.
Call it a fuck fork. It's the fuck fork hour.
That Matt's wanted to do for 4 years.
I've always wanted to do a sex podcast called Fuck Fork. Oh wow! All right, can I call my penis?
You text your wife for permission.
Yeah. I once told her that it was I called it the Hammer of Dawn, which if you play Gears of War, that's the name of one of the weapons. And her response was, "Who's Dawn?" So,
I thought you said Don, which is
no, that'd be a bit better.
Both my father's names.
Oh, it could be Don's hammer.
Yeah.
I don't want to be your daddy. I could be
No,
your
it's
weekend dad.
Sure. I don't know what that implies, but
Well,
okay.
it's not like your main dad. I'm just your weekend dad. I'm the fun one.
Oh,
I'm like your fun uncle. Your funkle.
fun uncle has already got enough connotations.
Well, and that's the
don't
thing.
need
Like
that.
sometimes we go into my basement. I call it Uncle Touchy's playground.
And that's the horror movie that I think we're going to do next week. No, we're going to do The Purge.
Uncle Touchy's playground.
But after you've been an Uncle Touches.
Yeah,
playground.
I'm gonna. So my plan is to get as much American stuff as possible. So I'm probably gonna get the red, white, and blueberry Pop Tarts. I'm gonna eat those during the show. I'm gonna see if I can get some Bomb Pop beers. I know Smirnoff makes a Bomb Pop Smirnoff. Fucking may bring that over. Red, white, and blue M&Ms. Sign me up.
Word.
Let's see. I know that the Walmart online grocery has an entire red, white, and blue section because fucking patriotism. Yeah.
Or consumerism, which is in a lot of cases the same thing.
No, it really is. You're not wrong. I don't like that the red, white, and blue patriotic M&Ms come in only a 42-ounce party bag. I don't party that hard, Walmart.
I don't party that little. That's
just too much candy. I'm gonna hurt. My teeth are gonna hurt.
yeah. Well, no, you won't eat them. You shoot them out your ass like the Winona
bubbles?
Ryder ping pong ball trick, except more patriotic.
Maybe I'll
for
get
the truth.
Maybe I'll get a big American flag and hang it back here.
Maybe you will.
Maybe I will. I won't. I could use our band banner, which is an American flag with alterations.
Or you just take a picture of your dick and put "Don't tread on me" on it.
It's my dick intertwined with itself. Don't tread
Sure,
on this dick.
itself. It's not anybody else's dick, Matt.
Well, it's easier for me to use two of my own dicks than to try and.
So you look like that dude from
Dude, where's my
from
car?
Cabal.
Oh.
No, the guy from Cabal who has the two snakes that come up from his stomach.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Red, white, and blueberry Little Debbie's.
Oh, I was thinking Little Debbie's. That was where I was going to go. I assumed that they must have a patriotic version of their cosmic brownies.
Oh, I'm sure. Pop
These things are terrific.
Pop-Tarts. I almost typed in Pop Sharts.
That's what I was suggesting you do with the M&Ms.
I also saw unicorn printed Pop Tarts. Fuck.
Okay.
There we go. Red, white, and blueberry toaster pastries. I'm just gonna add those to the cart right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do with 16 fucking Pop Tarts.
Some
Sorry. I'm sorry.
eat a few, breed some more.
Did you say something about breeding more? Oh, I'm gonna breed more Pop Tarts.
Breed more Pop-Tarts.
I really feel like this show's kind of.
They don't count as a baked good, so they've got to be.
Well, there's toaster pastry. It's not a baked good. Ooh, 4th of July grilling. Can I grill while I record an episode? How do you think that would go over?
You'd have to see how far you are from the local fire department if you're grilling inside your house.
Well, I would have to move my computer outside.
Right.
I would not grill inside. I'm not.
Also, kind of combustible, so I don't know which is the right move. Just put the directly outside your window. Just open up that window, make it like a little bar area. You can lean out, flip a burger.
I would just. Yeah, I'd have to pull the weeds, which I should probably do anyways.
Yeah.
What are the most American? I should get some. Ooh. A 14-inch round tray American flag print. Isn't it? Oh, man. I'm just now like comprehending the fact that Walmart, as well as every other store, has literally slapped an American flag on everything and sold it.
And all of it's made in China.
Yep. Let's see. Let's get to the bottom of this. Where's this fucker made? Oh, it doesn't say where it's made. Disclaimer. Oh, no, it has nothing to do with anything. Ooh, I might have to get some necklaces, maybe some glow sticks.
And if you want to do your civic duty, listeners, email the show at hot@gncast.com. Let us know how you feel about America.
Oh,
and
red, white, and blue bracelets? Sign me up.
Definitely follow Matt's Instagram or his Untapped at Matt Lifeguard.
Yep.
And you can follow the show by going to gncast.com/pot, gncasts, plural.com/pot, or you can go onto Facebook and follow the page, Galactic Network, and get updates on. Honestly, I don't know if we update about this show on that page.
Anessa has been doing it. When we put out new episodes, she does post for it. Thank you very much, Anessa.
Okay,
I'm not even sure if she listens to these episodes.
No, but she's paying more attention than we are, so good for her.
Yeah. I'm just, you know what? I'm too drunk to taste this chicken. I'm actually not. I'm kind of drunk. I'm not too drunk.
Never too
I'm an
drunk.
appropriate amount of drunk for 3:45 on a Sunday afternoon.
Which is a bigger holdout than my wife was, having drinks at 1 o'clock this afternoon and getting blitzed.
I literally grabbed one large. This bottle of beer is the size of my head, but I only grabbed one. And if we didn't do this, I wouldn't have drank it.
So you're saying I'm an enabler?
No, not at all. If we did this on Monday, I wouldn't have drank. I'm an adult. I've had a cold for like a week, and I'm finally starting to not feel like complete dick at all times. So I need to make up for a week of not drinking.
I would like to feel your complete dick, Matt.
It's pretty underwhelming. It hooks slightly to the left. It's gonna let you down.
I just want to know it's there. I just want to be close to you.
Oh boy,
like your dog.
I want a titty.
Also, I shit in your hallway.
Oh, damn it! There's a turd somewhere in this house. I know what I'm gonna have to find. Where were we? What are you?
Join us next week for Matt's new podcast, Matt's Mystery Turd, where he walks you around his house and
it's just me with my phone, like, where the fuck's that turd? I don't want you shit somewhere.
Like a ghost hunting show, except
it just cuts to, it's a time lapse of the sun going down over my house, and then it's me at 8 p.m. with a fucking headlamp on, going, I'm gonna get that turd.
You got the camera right up to your nose and like, what's that scratching noise?
just crying. Like, you shit everywhere. Oh man.
Yeah, turd hunters.
Turd hunters worldwide. Yeah.
I think I did the outro.
No, you totally did. I guess I gotta plug this show again. But Cast and Furious, it sounds like we're gonna do. I don't know when they're coming out, but we're gonna record at least one episode this week, I believe, maybe two. If that sounds like something you want to be interested in, I actually signed with the Cast and Furious pod at gmail.com. We're probably gonna do the video live, so you can join us.
Got a YouTube channel?
I just made a Google account, so there will be I'll make a YouTube account.
Also be aware, because it looks like Google is going to be killing not only Hangouts, but maybe the functionality of what we use Hangouts for, as about having the two cameras or multiple cameras to do a thing like this. So you might need to get something else set up soon. I know this is off-air talk, but
I thought they were just. I didn't realize that they were getting rid of all functionality. I thought they were just getting rid of Hangouts and going to a YouTube specific thing. Yeah, Beat says OBS, and that's something that we had talked about and just never really. I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult to do something like OBS and just stream it to Twitch.
yeah, Glenn Rubenstein posted something about it on Twitter, so that was the first that I'd really heard about it, but it makes a certain degree of sense because Google can't have something more than 4 or 5 years before they have to completely fuck up everything that's good about it and then try to rename it for some other project that they try to launch off the ground that nobody's going to use because we don't trust you anymore, you motherfuckers.
Time to go OBS. Beat, how much do you know about OBS? Like, can you help a brother out, or are you gonna drive through a tunnel again? No.
And that's it for this episode of the Podcast of Terror. We will see you all next week.
Stay scary, everybody.
Good boy.
I